you can be in a comfortable place. So you don't need to see me. You can lay down or you can lean on something. So just be comfortable where you don't need to keep yourself upright with effort. But if you feel comfortable sitting, it's fine. I mean, if you can sit in a relaxed way, it's great. Or you can be on a ball. I see some people have a ball, or lay down. So any way you feel comfortable. And welcoming any thoughts, any memories, any images which are there, feelings, emotions, anything can be present in this moment. So there's nothing to be pushed away to say, oh no, I don't want to think about that because I want to follow Thomas. No, we don't make a difference between what we are exploring here and what's going on with you. So these two can really merge with each other. So whatever is present now is part of the exploration. It's not something to avoid or push away, but it's part of what we are doing. And then I will ask you just to change your focus a little bit, bring your attention to different places, or maybe something is calling your attention. That's also another way to be guided, not only by my voice, but being guided by your experience. So being guided by your knee, your back, your thoughts, your memories, the images, letting that all be part of this exploration. And maybe you notice your breathing without the need to change anything or to breathe better or deeper or whatever, just noticing how you breathe. And you can change your position anytime. You can move or you can be still. And notice again where you have contact. Where are you in contact? Be the floor, be a ball, another person, an animal. Wherever you have contact. And what surfaces of your body have contact? And it can be a larger part of your body when you lay down. Maybe your whole back or your one side is in contact, or if you're hanging over a ball, your belly and your chest are in contact. Or when you're sitting, you have a little less contact. Let's just notice where you have contact. also you have contact with your clothes from the inside, with your shirt, with your trousers, and maybe you are also touching yourself. Maybe your hand is on your chest or on your leg, or so there are many contact points you have. With yourself, with your clothes, with the air, with the floor or any other surface or another human or non-human or another object. And notice what changes when you're moving. So when you change your position or you're rolling. And also notice how there is a compression on your tissue when you move. So it's like your tissue is like a sponge. There are fluids which are compressed when you move. Just through the effect of gravity, you have a compression. And the reason why this is possible is because the fluids are all contained by membranes. Like if you have a sponge and you squeeze the sponge, the fluid goes all out. But if you have a membrane around, like a water balloon, and you compress the water balloon, the fluid stays inside. So the way we feel that compression is because there are membranes. There's always this dialogue between fluid and membranes. And there are many compartments. Like on the basic level of organization, there is the cell. And there's cell membrane and there's fluid inside the cell. So that unit can be compressed a little bit and can expand a little bit. So if you take that image and allow that to become an experience, so see what that image of a cell, of fluid inside a cell, in a way mechanically or from the point of view of fluid dynamics, how the cells are affected by compression or by expansion, by weight, by gravity. And the proximity of other cells. And the fluidity between the cells. So the cells, they can touch each other. There's contact between the cells and fluid between the cells, which allows movement between the cells. And then notice also your tone. Maybe you find that some places where you move, where you put maybe some pressure or you let the gravity work on, maybe there is more tone in some places, in other places less tone. Or even down to the cellular level, there are places where the cells seem to have higher tone, and places maybe the cells seem to have a lower tone. So how does the movement, changing position, or moving in space, affects the tone and makes you notice your tone? So there is that relation to the floor, to gravity, or another person, or another inhuman, or an object. There is this effect of gravity, but then there is also the movement in the space. So you always have these two dimensions opening between something you can lean on, you can, like a reference point, you are in contact with, and then a place in the space or a vector in the space. So there is the local effect where you have contact. And how is that exploring that? On a cellular level. But cellular is also fluid level. It's not only cellular. The cells are not just there. They are filled with fluid. There's fluid around the cells. There's proximity of cells. There's sliding between the cells. And there's a lot of fascia also, fibers and so-called ground fluid, which allows a lot of sliding. And you can move with more awareness of the membranes containing the fluids, or you move with more awareness of the fluids moving the membranes. And just notice what's the difference between this, the quality, the qualitative difference between moving from the membranes to moving from the fluids. How does that change the quality of your movement? So there is the fluid inside the cell, there's fluid around the cell, and then there is fluid passing the membranes. We call that the transitional fluid. So how the fluid comes from inside to the outside or from outside to inside. And how focusing on that transitional fluid affects your movement. It's a different quality if you initiate from inside the cell, the cellular fluid, or from the outside the cell, the extracellular fluid, or from the membrane, or from this transitional fluid. And how is that related to kind of a continuous experience of flow in your body? Maybe when you focus on the membrane, there is more containment, there is more there is a bit less flow in a sense. And if you focus on the fluid, maybe there is more sense of flow, expansion, condensation. And when you focus on the transitional fluid, what is that allowing you to embody in that moment? In relation to the points of contact you have with yourself, with the floor, with an object, a ball, or with another human or non-human, where you feel the breathing maybe of that other organism, you feel the life in your own body and the life in the other body. And again, just let whatever is present to be there in the moment. If there are any images, memories, thoughts, let that all be part of your experience. And maybe you're drawn to a place in your body where there's a little less movement, or there's more movement, there's less flow or more flow. And maybe you think, oh, my neck could benefit from a bit more flow, or my lower back, or my shoulder, or any place. And just observe what happens when you bring the quality of these fluids there, from the fluid membrane, transitional fluid, cellular fluid, extracellular fluid, how you bring this sense of fluid there, and how that changes the contact between the cells, the contact of the cells with the fibers around, with the membranes around, the collagen, elastin fibers, ground substance, or also the fascia, how How the movement can travel along these fibers. But maybe also a sense of what's happening deeper in your body, in the volumes of your body. Like the fluid-filled contents of your body. Like the organs, the glands. So when you move, when you change your position or roll or extend into the space, how that affects the volumes inside, the soft fluid inside. And how is that related to the points where you have contact to the outside? And the projection of your movement into space. So the contact you have to the outside and the contact you have to your inside, to your volumetric body, so to speak. And how shifting weight, rolling, changing your position affects that inside and affects your tone. Your tone in general, but also the specific tone of an organ or a body part. And how contact really means to be in dialogue, to be in exchange, in flow. Like contact between fluid and membrane. There is a dialogue between fluid and membrane. There is a balance, a shifting balance between fluid and membrane. The contact between organs allows a dialogue between the organs, between one organ and another organ. So how, if you want to be that specific, how the gallbladder and the liver are in contact, or the pancreas and the stomach, or pancreas and spleen, the bladder and the prostate. The lungs and the heart. Whatever you feel drawn to in this moment, with a sense of fluid and membrane balance, or cellular and extracellular balance, and transitional fluid Or what about the trachea and the esophagus? And even on that microscopic level of cells, you are moved. You're not only moving, so your cells are not only moving, they also are moved. They touch and they are touched. So on whatever level you are exploring, you have this continuous dialogue between moving, being moved, touching, and being touched. And contact, when there is contact, you have that dialogue established. You have that on the level of the cells, the tissues, the fluids. But you have it also on the level of your imagination, of your interpretation, the images, the memories, the thoughts which are there, the sensations, how you feel yourself moving, or you feel somebody else moving. So there are two nervous systems in dialogue. And that's what its contact is about, is that dialogue, that establishing exchange, flow, communication, moving towards, moving away, saying yes, saying no, bonding, attachment. But also moving away from something which might not feel so well in this moment. Just observing, recognizing, acknowledging what's there. And then take another few minutes just to continue what you're doing. If you want to be in movement or in stillness, if you want to change your position, if you want to use your voice, or if you want to take some notes or talk with somebody. In a few minutes, we are going to split again in small groups. For about 15 minutes. But now, there are a few more minutes just to do whatever you need to do. This idea that cells can be in contact or have like a receptivity for touch. And then organs or fascia or other membranes have that ability to touch, be in contact, and notice a change in contact or a change in relationship. There's this reciprocity of dialogue on from the cellular up to tissue level. It's very interesting in relation to what Anna said in the beginning, that like the thoughts sometimes stop the fluid movement. And if you like think about moments in the last 3 months which were very special in terms of triggering some kind of fears or anxiety or frustration or all kind of feelings or thoughts or worries, how that made your body react, or how that stopped your body to be in flow. And so I like very much in this kind of range where we can live, and how you bring these two poles together, so you can think, you can feel, like what I said in the beginning, you feel, you move, you let things be present together. So not to separate the fluidity of your movement from your thoughts. And I know that happens sometimes. We get so excited, start to talk, and we freeze. And when we notice that, we can say, wow, that's not necessary. Why should I stop moving when I have an emotion, or I have a thought or a memory, or I don't need to stop. I can stay soft. I can still be in contact with that other organization in the body. I don't allow my nervous system to, how do you say, to hijack my body. I don't allow my nervous system just to go off and cut off from everything else. A key question in this research is, what changes when I am in contact with that level? So if I am like letting go of the visualization, like Federica said, so I'm not involving my mental capacities anymore. So in a way, I let go of the tracking. I let this cellular tissue, or however we want to call it, I let this level which is below the nervous system, I let it be present and express in a way, or move, or being moved through the contact with the exterior world, but also through the contact inside the body. So what happens when I allow this to be present without maybe to push away the thoughts or the memories? And for me, in the last two or 3 years, that had been a great insight into working with people who have experienced some trauma or some more stronger experiences in their lives. How to hold that level, the cellular tissular fluid level, at the same time having a memory of something which was not so pleasant in your life, and how you allow that both levels are present instead of cutting off. And that's like what Anna said, this, and I think all of us had this, at least in the last 3 months, this experience that that we cut off in some way, which is a protective response also. But how we can be angry, have anxiety, fears, or whatever is there, and at the same time are in contact with that other level. And I think that makes a big difference. And it's not an easy exercise, not an easy thing to do. And that is what brings me back to also to the work with the children with special needs, that children where the parents or the therapists or educators say this child doesn't like to be touched at all. It's like you cannot come close to the child or touch it. It will freak out, it will scream or whatever. But when we allow, or when I allow this other level to be present, in some way it's kind of undermining or going underneath these reactions or defensive reactions, and the children start to be comfortable with touch, and to the surprise of the parents, for example. But I think there's a similar thing happening in that, is that touch can stimulate previous experiences, memories, and when you just stay on that level, you can easily freak out. But when you allow also this other level to be present, it can balance your reaction to your past experience. There's a big range in like dealing with trauma, because sometimes also you need to make sense of an experience you cannot understand. So there's a huge range between, like, on all the cellular level, the different levels of the brain, up to the frontal cortex, how you modulate all these levels, even inside your nervous system, between the more primitive parts, which stimulate your fears or your defensive behaviors, your more like limbic part, which is more about the being loved, or attachment, bonding, relationship. So all of these levels can be provide an access to transforming an experience. But in what I find in body mind centering, we have some tools or some experiences which address what's underneath the nervous system, and that I think it's very rich to to bring that into all the, what do you say, trauma work.